Because of the ball's elasticity, it loses very little kinetic energy upon each bounce, causing it to go back to close to the height it started at, regaining its potential energy.
Since both balls start at the same height and the acceleration due to gravity is the same for both, they will both land at the same time, regardless of how far they're thrown.
3, 2, 1.
The ball starts with full potential energy. After that, it loses kinetic energy with every consecutive bounce. When the ball falls from the top of the net, it falls the complete distance all the way to the ground. However, since this is an inelastic collision, some of the kinetic chow of the ball is lost when it contacts the ground, meaning that due to the conservation of kachow, as it bounces back up, it does not have the same amount of energy, so it cannot reach the same height as it initially did. And it continues in this way, back down to the bottom where it loses more kinetic kachow, until eventually there is no more energy left, and the entire system stops.
When someone checks another person, it's an elastic collision because they both move at the end and both have velocity. When one player checks another, it's the conservation of momentum. The first player starts with a velocity, and the second player has no velocity, therefore is stationary. When they collide, the initial velocity of the first player is split among each player respective to their masses. This is called a partially elastic collision.
When the ball is thrown at the wall, it loses kinetic energy in the wall. You can see how it did not land in the place that it started, therefore kinetic energy was lost in the wall.
When the ball is thrown at the wall, it loses kinetic energy in the wall. Therefore, when it has potential energy, it doesn't have as much, so it falls in a different position closer to the wall. This is a partially inelastic collision.
If you shoot the ball at an angle, it starts with both kinetic and potential energy, so its total mechanical energy is higher. So we start with our shooter exerting a force on the basketball at an angle which propels the basketball up because it overcomes the force of gravity. However, as soon as the ball leaves his hand, there is no more force pushing the basketball up. So the only force acting on it at its top is gravity, which goes straight down. Finally, as the ball gets close to the net, and once it hits the net, the normal force of the net pushes the basketball up slightly, even though gravity is a stronger force. This is why the ball slows down as it goes through the net. Finally, as it passes through the net, the only force remaining is gravity, which pulls it straight down.
The real velocity of the basketball is going at an angle. However, it can be split into x and y components seen here. When the ball is initially thrown, it has a constant x velocity that carries with it the entirety it is in the air. However, it starts with a positive y velocity that is greater and shrinks as it gets to its highest point. However, once it gets past its highest point, it starts to go down and get greater until it reaches the net. The acceleration is always going to be negative 9.8 meters per second due to gravity. When the ball strikes the backboard, it loses all of its kinetic energy into the backboard. However, it still has potential energy from being in the air and it falls straight down through the net.
Thanks for watching the physics of basketball. Good night and Godspeed.